he said it because of his wet blanket energy.
Unhinged. That's actually unhinged.
All right, guys, we have Theresa Nist here on the pod. You know her from Gary's season one of The Golden Bachelor.
Mhm.
Theresa, welcome to She's All Batch.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you. I feel like this is a long time coming because we've been big
Yes.
fans of you for a really long time. You've always been top of our list as like dream guests
Aw,
on the podcast.
thank you so much. I had no idea.
Yeah, no, we
Yes,
love you.
Thank you.
we're Theresa Truthers.
Aw, thanks.
Yes. Well, because first, not to, I guess we'll get into this. I do want to start a little bit about like your how you got on the show and stuff. But when we had found out that you ended up winning the season, we were just like excited, but in awe. Like I think
Aw,
Stephanie thought it was leaning more towards Leslie. I was thinking maybe it was Theresa, so we were like calling ourselves. I was like the Theresa Truther and being like,
Yeah.
no, I think
thank
it's
you. I was
Theresa.
wondering because I know you love Leslie, and rightly so. I love Leslie, and I actually thought it was her too. So you're
No,
but I
Well,
thought it
I
really.
was
do want to
her.
ask you about
Yeah,
that and maybe when you thought there was a shift, but let's
yeah.
start kind of at the beginning first off. How did you even get on the show? And what were your expectations going into it?
Okay, so they started this before COVID. So I don't know if many people may have told you that. And so I filled out an application a long time ago, forgot about it, and then one day I was sitting at my computer, a different Mac, and my daughter said, "Hey, Mom, why don't you fill out this application?" That was it. I sat there, I completed this extremely long application, and they asked you to take photos of yourself. I submitted it. I forgot all about it. I think this might have been in October or November of 2022. And then one day I was at work and I got a call from an assistant casting director. And she said, "We would love to interview you. I just saw your picture, your photo, and your application." I said, "Well, I'm at work. I really can't do it right now." And I put it off till after work. We had an hour-long conversation, and then it just went from there. It's a many, many step process. It's so many steps, and you
Mhm.
never know when the end is. You're just told, okay, you're moving on to the next step and the next step and the next step and the next step. So it was always a mystery. But
Mhm.
during that time, my daughter and I were researching what you really needed to wear on the show. So I was ordering gowns and I would get them and I would try them on really quickly. And if they weren't good, I'd just put them right back in the box and they'd ship right back. So by the time the show was told me that I was on, I had everything that I needed to wear.
So you
Yeah.
were confident.
So impressive.
Well, you know what? It wasn't that I was confident. I was just wanted to be prepared. The
Sure.
tags were still on. I was ready to
Okay.
ship them all back. So,
But you
Yeah.
ended up lasting the whole time, so you got to wear probably most of the gowns that you packed, which is exciting.
that's incredible. I didn't expect that at all.
What were you trying to get from the experience? Were you genuinely trying to find someone and thinking you would potentially get engaged, or were you just kind of open to a fun new experience, maybe traveling and making friends?
Oh my God, it was primarily that. I would
Okay.
say that I was open to a brand new experience and making friends, but I was looking for love. And in a million years, I never expected to get as far as I did on the show. It was just I went with a very open mind and open heart to the experience. And what happened was as much a surprise to me as it was to anyone else, if anyone was surprised. So
Hmm.
really, yes, I was so excited to meet the women. I knew that I'd meet these incredible women. Everyone at work would say to me, "Oh, Theresa, you got this." I go, "Don't say I got this. That's ridiculous." I'm sure there are just some beautiful, gorgeous, incredible women who are on this show, and they're all going to be the same. And so we all have an equal shot at this, and I'm
Yeah.
really dying to meet them. They don't let you meet them in the beginning. You're sequestered from each other
Right.
because they want to keep that surprise element of you meeting them on the first night so that that excitement of meeting them and not knowing that person and I guess not being so familiar with everyone is what they want to capture.
Sure. What was your first impression of Gary when you came out of the limo?
Okay, so I was a nervous wreck, and when I went up to him, I was shocked that I was so attracted to him. I was surprised. I go, "Oh, wow. I'm really attracted to him." Okay.
Yeah.
I said, "All right." And I spontaneously kissed him. I don't know if you noticed that, but And I didn't plan that. That wasn't anything premeditated. It was just how I felt. Like, oh, hi, darling, I'm home from work. Like,
Mm.
and I go, what did I just do? But I was in a car with Ellen, who was a nervous wreck, and
Oh,
Edith, who was the first one out of the limo. And they were just, Ellen's going, I'm so nervous, I'm so nervous, I'm so nervous. I don't know what I'm going to do. What am I going to say? What am I going to say? And I tried to calm her down. But then when I stepped out of the limo, all I was thinking was, am I going to trip on these cobblestones? Because Edith had just spread all of that confetti, right? They popped the confetti, then they
Mhm.
have to wash all the cobblestones. And am I going to trip? Am I going to fall? Is my robe going to open before time? I really wasn't comfortable wearing the robe. And then I had this ridiculous smile plastered on my face, like howdy doody, like, and I couldn't stop. And
Because
the
you were
first time,
birthday suit, right?
yeah, and you want to know something? It was during the interviews with the big producers, the executive producers. So you're on a Zoom call, and there are six of them. And so one person, I said to me, the show starts on August 3rd. I said, oh, August 4th is my birthday. And he said, oh, great, you can come out with a birthday cake. And I thought in my head, or I could come out in my birthday suit. And I go, dare I really say this? And I said it. And he goes, you're hired. But I wasn't,
oh,
that was just, he's only kidding. And
yeah.
then I wanted to get away from that because once I found out that Gary had the same story as me, that he married his high school sweetheart, that my husband died of a kidney related disease. His wife died of the same thing. We both had two children. One of his daughters was named Jenny. My daughter is named Jenny. And I just felt, I really just want to go up to him and say hi. I don't want to do this anymore. But they liked that idea too much. So
Mm.
they stuck with it.
At what point did you start feeling like comfortable around Gary? Because I imagine obviously at first, like you said, you were nervous. It's like a whole new
Yeah.
experience. And when did you feel like, oh, this actually like might be something?
Well, right away I felt comfortable with him. Like
Hmm.
immediately that first night when I went out there and he said, if I eat this cupcake, would you take the icing off my lips? I would say that me coming out of the limo, I was a nervous wreck. But when I sat with him, that was one of the only times I felt really like myself. And I
Mhm.
felt comfortable with him because we were sharing that we had the same experiences in life. And I had a letter from my daughter that was just phenomenal. And one of the things she wrote in it was, just imagine how great it's going to be that the whole world is going to get to know who you are. And that really made me cry. And I was at that point of the night, I think it might have been like 4 o'clock in the morning, and my contact lenses are glued to my eyes and I
Oh my
can't
God.
see anymore. And I'm trying to read the letter. So I'm making up the letter because I don't know what it says anymore. But I felt comfortable with him then and on the date.
Hmm.
Yeah, you had
Yeah.
a connection really early on. You mentioned before, though, that you thought he was going to pick Leslie.
Mm.
When did you feel like it was you, or did you never feel
I
like it
never
was you?
felt. In the beginning, I thought we had a really great date. But then I wanted to step back and just say, hey, go explore it with everyone else because that's how it should be. You should find the right person for you. And I stood back, and I don't know if you noticed, but every time someone got a date, I was genuinely happy for them. I celebrated it. And the whole time Leslie, was looking for her date. She wanted, and I'm going, Leslie, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And when it did, I was thrilled for her. And why did I think I thought it was Leslie when it was in Costa Rica and it was the final date.
No
And
way.
and we're going on that date, right? And it's a horseback riding date. And I see, Gary's up ahead. We're really not talking. He looks distracted. I'm saying, what's going on? What's wrong with him? And I'm thinking, did he just have a date with Leslie? And I kind of felt like he wasn't interested in me. I really felt that there, and you could see on that date, there wasn't really that great of a connection there.
Mhm.
And so on that last date, that night before we went in to the fantasy suite, I kind of got back to being myself because I do want to talk about how I really couldn't be myself after the date. So after the
Hmm.
first date, the entire time I couldn't be myself. And then on the final date, I was just like, I kind of had given up. I said, he said, I'd like to ask you about your job. And I said, I said, matter of factly, yeah, you should ask me about my job. I just said it like that. You should. Like, why, so I started telling him about it. And at that point, I thought it was Leslie. I truly thought it was Leslie.
Wait, so why did you feel like you couldn't be yourself after the date and then
After the
leading up
date,
until that point?
um,
Yeah.
It's what happened between me and Kathy.
Zip it. Yeah, the
Yeah,
zip it heard round the
because even
Oh.
world.
before the zip it, it was, so you're in a situation where you have no one to talk to. You can't, and
Mhm.
I'm used to talking. I have a daughter best friends with. I have a daughter-in-law. I have friends. I have two sisters. I have coworkers, and you probably do too. You have a lot of female friends to talk to. So you're in a situation where you have no one to talk to. Kathy had made me feel like she was my best friend in the house. She actually said to me, "You're the one. It's not me, it's you." She kind of almost dismissed herself. Like,
Mhm.
you're the one, I'm not his type, you're the one, you're the one. And she hung around with me a lot. And I felt, yes, I made a really good friend. So after the date, I was so excited. And a lot of the excitement came from the fact that he said he was sick of the lake. He didn't say it on camera, but he said, "I'm sick of the lake. I'm sick of getting the boat in and out of the lake. I want to move to," and he actually said Charleston, North Carolina. And
Hmm.
I said, "No, Charleston's in South Carolina." My ears perked up. Son lives in Murrells Inlet, South Carolina. So
Oh, that would be perfect.
I thought, well, is this serendipity? Is this meant to be? Because that would fit just too well. So I was in the kitchen. I was very excited. I was whispering to Kathy, completely forgot I have a mic on,
Mhm.
completely forgot that anyone else would hear it. And I said, she said, "How was the date?" I think. And I said, "Oh my God, it was so great. It was so great. Like we talked all night and it was so exciting. And the date was great. It was a flash mob. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Couldn't believe I was in the middle of a flash mob. I kept saying, "Can't wait to tell my family." I said, "Oh, they're going to see this on TV." But little did I know that Kathy, went back and told everyone else that I kind of said, Teresa said, "Forget it. She's got this." And it just got a little misinterpreted from how I
Mhm.
said it to how it was relayed. And
Okay.
then I started feeling a coldness, in the room. And, when they formed the Askin group, and I just felt, a little alienated. And I said, "Well, what's going on?" And I started clamming up and getting into myself and not feeling free to say anything. So, and then there was the incident where finally the confrontation with April saying, "I think you should talk to Kathy." And when I talked to Kathy, I really thought, "Oh, I'm going to clear this all up. We're great friends." And when she said you were being dismissive of me, I don't know why that hit me so poorly. I wanted to melt into the floor. I wanted to disappear. I said, "Oh, it's too late. This will be on TV. Everyone will see this." I think I never turned red, but I turned completely red. I was mortified. And I ran up to the room, and Faith was so nice. She ran up with me and she comforted me and she said, "No, no, that's not how it is." And then all of a sudden, Gary's walking in the room, and I was even more mortified. "Why are you here? Like, what are you doing?" And
Mhm.
he just, he had this really nice thing to say that if you feel in your heart, you didn't do anything wrong, then I think you should just, let it go. And you saw the next night we were standing at the rose ceremony. I think Kathy already had a rose. And she said to me,
Mhm.
this is infamous too. And I looked like an idiot when I said this. "So how did it go?" She said, "Did you get your time with Gerry or something like that?" I said, "No, but he did come up to my room." She goes, "He came up to your room. Now that's something you shouldn't have told me." And I go, "Oh my God, I can't say anything right." I wanted to say, it wasn't romantic. He would have done that for anyone. I was just trying to commiserate with her and say, "Yeah, he's a great guy," because she was saying he's a good guy.
And
So,
she asked
and
too,
she asked, yeah,
and
yeah,
then
there
got
was a
mad at your
Right.
point.
answer.
I mean, you're obviously not the only person to express those similar feelings about like the asking group. I think that's been a common theme when we've spoken to a bunch of people from the Golden Bachelor. Were you able to kind of reconcile with some of the women, or do you still talk to them, or like where do you guys kind of stand with your relationship today?
Yeah, no, I was able to reconcile with them. It's just,
Okay.
you're in that situation and
Yeah.
you don't know each other. And if I had ever known more about Kathy and her personal story, and if I could have said to her, "Please, Kathy, let's talk about this," or talk to the other women, I really didn't feel comfortable enough to do it. But yes, it's just a very strange situation. So it was just specific to that, to what
Hmm.
happened there. They're lovely women. I love them all. They're all great.
Yeah. And I think sometimes the show is just kind of like a pressure cooker that kind of
Yeah.
can bring out the best or the worst in some
Yeah.
people.
So you weren't yourself or you weren't feeling yourself till the very end. Then you show Gary, this is who I really am. And do you feel like that's when things kind of turned for you when you were
Yes.
able to show him? Okay.
Yes. All of a sudden, that's what happened. We're in the fantasy suite and I'm myself. And I start acting,
Mhm.
I act more and more like myself. And so he got really excited by who I was. And he said, oh my God, I didn't know you were this person. And I was, so it was, it's a private conversation, but it's great. It was the only time that you really got to talk because everything else, is on camera. And so it was very necessary to have the fantasy suite just for the fact that you got to talk in private. That was the most
Right.
important part of it. So
Yeah.
yeah, so there were many revelations at the very end in that room. So I didn't know, but you're still in the dark. You don't know what his relationship is like with Leslie. And Leslie and I were best of friends in the house. We're best of friends now. We hung out together. We did everything together. And so it just became very strange that when you think of it, we're very similar in type. So I guess Gary has a type, maybe, but his type right now, the woman he's with, is not like us at all. But so he picked two women who were very similar, and those two women were friends. And I was friends with many other people. And but we get all the way to the end not realizing, oh, now we're going to be adversaries. Oh, this isn't fun. That's not
Hmm.
fun at
Right.
all. And you're in Costa Rica and they keep you away from each other. So you can't cross paths, you don't know. And the morning that I went there to the engagement, the proposal, I'm thinking, oh, did Leslie go already? She must have gone. Or is she going after me? Like, when is she going? I didn't know, had no clue whatsoever. And even,
Yeah.
I don't want to get all the way to the end of the story. We can backtrack if you want.
Mm.
But even when
This is great.
he said to me, I'm sorry, you're not the woman. And I
We talk
said,
about this
I said,
all the time.
oh,
When he's like, "You're
okay.
not the one I can live with. You're
Yes,
the
I
one I
know.
can't live without," which was just such, we thought it was so rude to fake you out like that. And I think maybe production told him to word it that way, right? For like the suspense of the show. But we were like, how could he do that to Theresa? Because we could see like your face drop
Oh,
in
did
that
you see me?
moment.
Because I did. I
Yeah. Yeah.
did.
Of
I
course.
did. I was thinking, oh my God, okay, okay, someone get me out of here, please. I started backing away. I was thinking, get me out of here. And then he changes it, and the emotions went from down to up and like crazy.
So when did he tell you about his relationship, how deep his relationship was with Leslie after the engagement? You're engaged. Like, does Leslie come up before the show starts airing?
Does Leslie come up before the she? Yes, yes, she does.
Okay. Was what he told you what you saw on TV?
No. So that was a revelation when I finally saw it on TV. That wasn't so great. It was not great watching it. Not great.
It's kind of crazy that when you think about it, we only go to a doctor and seek out medical care once we're finally feeling symptoms of an illness. And it's kind of crazy because at that point, it's too late. You're already sick. We're almost doing it backwards as opposed to just tracking our health regularly to make sure that we prevent illnesses from starting in the first place. And so Superpower is a great way to constantly be tracking your health. Superpower sends a licensed professional to your home, or you can visit a nearby lab. And with one simple blood draw, you get 100 biomarkers, which is way more than you'd usually get. So you really just unlock so much information about your body. And then within their app, you get detailed information on your heart, liver, thyroid, hormones, metabolism, vitamin and mineral levels, and even environmental toxins. So from disease prevention to treating that annoying brain fog, or simply just optimizing your gym game, Superpower is the most comprehensive and advanced system out there when it comes to tracking your health. Superpower used to cost $4.99, but right now it's just $1.99 for the full experience. And that is way more affordable than anything out there. So head to superpower.com to learn more and lock in the special $1.99 price while it lasts. After you sign up, they'll ask how you heard about them. Please make sure to mention this podcast to support our show. Your biology decoded, your blueprint activated with Superpower.
Was it difficult watching the show back then? You're engaged to
Mhm.
this man. He told you a version of the story and you're kind of seeing it unfold in a different way. Did that cause issues at that point?
I think I kept the issues to myself. It did bother me. To see him, I really, looking at the show, if I was a viewer, I would have thought he was going to be with Leslie. I would have thought he was choosing her from
Mhm.
everything that he went through with her. And honestly, when there were three of us, it was me, Faith, and Leslie. I thought I was going home. So Faith says as soon as she heard Leslie's name called, she knew I was it. And I thought as soon as I heard Leslie's name called, she was it. And
Oh,
I was
wow.
ready to go home. The only thing was I didn't want to disappoint my grandson Henry, who had said, "I know you could be the new pop-up." And so
Aw.
I felt bad about him, like I didn't want to, disappoint Henry. So.
Yeah. So you're at after the final rose, and we learned that you obviously you guys are engaged, but you're also going to have a televised wedding. Did you feel at that moment you were ready to get married to this man
The moment that he
after the final rose?
proposed
Oh yeah,
no,
either.
at the proposal, no, not then at all. So we were offered that, and it was now or never. There wasn't like you can wait. It had to be done before Joey's season began, which I think was beginning in February, maybe. I'd have to look that up.
Mhm.
And so it was a matter of, okay, well, if we intend to get married, here's an opportunity to have the wedding of our dreams, like an incredible wedding with Mindy Weiss, like just giving us everything we wanted. So it was very difficult to make a very quick decision in a very short amount of time on something that we really should have waited. We should have been together a
Mhm.
year or more before we would make a decision like that.
Yeah, well, you guys, when you did eventually split, you guys kind of came out saying the reason for the split was because of the disagreements on where you guys were going to live. I know you kind of briefly touched on this, that there was a bit of a conversation, South Carolina. Did
Mhm.
something change in that sense, or did you guys not fully have those conversations before getting married?
We did start looking for homes, online. We never did agree on a home, on the same home together. But yeah, different things happened that I'm not prepared to talk about.
Sure.
Okay.
So it wasn't just the location issue.
Yeah.
What was behind the Good Morning America reveal as opposed to announcing it on social media?
Oh, well, it wasn't, it's production, so it wasn't my decision.
Got it.
And though I do want to say that it really is difficult with people our age. We are so established in our lives. I mean, it's been said many times. It's not like someone who's 21, 25, 30, maybe, just either living with their parents or they have their own apartment. They don't own a home. They're not in the community. They don't have children, grandchildren. It's vastly different. And so Joan went into her season learning from us and saying, I don't plan on moving and I don't expect him to move. So she had the knowledge and the wisdom of what we went through in order to handle hers in a better way. And perhaps if we had that advantage of knowing what had happened before us, that would have helped us.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's the way it all unfolded. We never expected that to happen. We truly thought that it would be a marriage that lasted forever. We did think that it would be. But then so he does love Indiana. I do love where I live. That is a part of it. It's a small part of it. Yeah,
Hmm.
so I would say that that's difficult. If they could do something like they do with Love is Blind and just having it in the same city for older people, that would be great. And I noticed
Hmm.
on Mel season, I think there are fully 6 or 7 women who live in California, from the get-go. I don't know how
Hmm.
many of those are left right now, but
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe they took that into consideration this
mm,
time around for the
Well, Taylor
casting.
Frankie Paul, the upcoming Bachelorette, said he's going to have to move to Utah, and she's putting that
Yeah.
out there off the bat. So I feel
mhm,
like people are learning from
yes,
that and saying,
yeah,
like, don't even apply to come on the show if you're
there
not
you go.
willing. So I think,
Yes, I think that's really smart, very wise.
Hmm.
mhm,
And it was just, I think it's it was the first ever Golden Bachelor. There was no precedent. They
right.
didn't take these things into consideration. And so, and that was one of my most surprising things is that when I got there, all the producers are so young. They're lovely, they're wonderful, but they're so young.
Mhm.
And so it's, it's great. And I love to be around young people. We had a lot of fun.
You mentioned, Leslie is still one of your good friends. When you guys got off the show and obviously like you're engaged and then getting married to Gerry, was that like awkward between your friendship with Leslie? It seems like you guys kind of reconnected after you and Gerry split. Is that the case, or how did you
No, I
kind of
tried
navigate
to.
that friendship?
Yeah, I tried to contact Leslie so many times, and I don't blame her. She was very, very hurt. And
Mm.
it took, I think I finally got to the point where I wrote her this text that was about this long, and we finally connected. And
Was that after you and Gerry had split?
no, it was before we got married
Okay.
because I didn't really invite anyone except my family to the wedding. That was what I had control over. But I was asked if I could invite Leslie. No, if it was okay to invite Leslie. I said, "Oh, I want to invite her." And I called her up and I said, "I'd really love for you to come to the wedding." So we were already on good terms before the wedding.
Oh, okay.
And and I know how hard that was for
I'm
her.
sure that was hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very hard.
And the wedding
Yeah.
came with like a full reception and everything that you wanted just free of
Yeah.
charge.
Oh,
That's because
yeah.
we
It was
only
amazing.
saw the ceremony on TV.
Oh, amazing. The reception was amazing. Oh my God, I wish you were there.
I
The
wish I was
band,
there.
the
Yeah.
band was, we have video. I have video, I have tons of video of it. And the band was incredible. It was so good. It was such a party. It was so good. So
Oh,
I'm sorry I didn't
wow.
say that. It's too bad they
Yeah.
didn't televise that. They should have. It was so good.
I know. They rarely, I don't think they, I mean, I know
Not at all.
bachelor weddings in the past, it's usually just focused on the ceremony, but we're like, we want to see the fun part. We want to see
Yeah.
like everyone having a good
Oh
time.
my gosh, I wish they would have. It's too late now because we're not going to see a wedding between us and we're not together. But yeah,
Mhm.
it was great. It was so good. So
Where do you guys stand today? I mean, you on Good Morning America, you guys said that you were very much on good terms, even possibly still have loving feelings towards one another. Where do you stand today?
we really don't talk. It's not, I don't know if there's any animosity, but he's with another woman. And I really wanted that for him. I wanted to give him his space. I didn't want him tied to me in, a continuous relationship. I wanted him to find someone else, and he did. And I'm so happy for him.
Hmm.
So, no, it's not a thing where we're talking. So,
Okay.
what
And
happens?
you're okay with it
That
though.
makes
Like you're at
Yeah,
sense.
peace and
perfectly
he's
fine. I'm
good.
perfectly fine. I want him to be happy, and that's great.
So Gary is actually coming out with a book. It's
Yeah.
seemingly going to be a tell-all. Are you concerned with what's going to be said in it, or are you excited to read it? Like where do you stand on this whole book situation?
I can't wait to read it. I have no idea what's in it. I can't wait to read it. And I just hope it's a very true and accurate accounting of what happened. And
Mm.
so, yes, I'll be rushing through it to find my pages. I'm sure everybody will
Read the
be too.
parts about
Every
you.
single
Yeah.
girl will be looking for, okay, where did he talk about me? Where did he talk about me? And I
Yeah.
just hope it's a lighthearted, good-humored book where it doesn't hurt anyone. And because of course he's telling his story, which is just his voice, and no one
Mhm.
else's voice is in there. So,
Right.
Sure.
that's
And then we'll need a book from Theresa.
Yes.
yeah.
That's what we want.
And I'll write a book.
Yeah. Were you approached to go on Golden Paradise or this past season of Bachelor in
Yes.
Paradise?
Yeah, I went through the whole process.
Yeah,
I
remember we
was
covered it and then you last minute didn't go on, right? Wasn't there a story
right.
there?
So what happened was I was very enthusiastic about it. I really wanted to do it. And then I started thinking, you know what? I don't know if there's any match for me on this
Mm.
show, and I don't want to take any man away from anyone else and not end up with that person. So I thought that wasn't fair. So I went
Mhm.
back to the producers and I said, yeah, you know what? I was so excited, but I think I'm most excited about just seeing the women again and having a great reunion. So I don't think it's fair to come on. And then in the end, though, they did have to officially tell you whether or not you were on. And then they said I wasn't. So I don't know if because I said that I wasn't on, or they ultimately thought, well, we have Leslie, and Leslie and Teresa are so much alike. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but they said, and I
Mm.
was told, well, if there's another one, we'll invite you on that. So yeah,
So next summer though, will we?
you never, well, I don't know. There would have to be, there's a Golden Bachelor, but there'd have to be a Golden Bachelorette to have
Right.
guys.
Yeah, that's what
So,
Leslie said too. There's really
I
not
don't
a
know.
lot of guys.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider being the Golden Bachelorette?
I would love to, but now that they have such high profile people. What are the chances of that? That would be
I don't know.
absolutely.
We're all so invested in your story. You like we've said this to Leslie too. Like we've been watching you guys
Yeah.
now and following you for a long time, and I think the viewers would really like it.
Oh, that's so nice.
And I think your friendship with Leslie was really nice to see. You're such a girl's girl and you are so supportive of other women and I feel like that translates on screen. And it's just I feel
Um,
like even like a double, like you guys
oh,
both
that
going
would
on
be
a journey.
amazing.
That would
Oh
be
my God, that would
amazing.
be so great.
I
We would
know.
love that. We'd have a ball with that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm about to see her in New York in 2 weeks. So,
Yes.
yes.
Oh
She
wait,
was
I was
telling
gonna
us,
yeah, ask like what is life like today? I know you're in New Jersey still, coming to New York sometimes. We all have to get together. April,
Yes.
Leslie, and
Yes.
Theresa all hanging out in New
Let's
York.
do it. I want to
Yeah.
do that. I want to hang out.
yes,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
So life today, are you dating? Like, do you have time to date? Like,
You
what's
know
your day
what?
to day?
I am not dating. I will tell you that before the show, I went on hundreds of dates, hundreds. And like every time I would go there with a very good attitude and have a really nice time. And then inevitably they would want another. I'm sorry, I'm not saying this. They would want another date. And then I'd have to say, you're such a lovely man, but I don't see a connection. And I just got tired of saying that. And I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. And so I had withdrawn from dating for a long time, maybe 6 or 9 months before the show started. And I don't know that I would want to go back to that. And I don't know that now, having done what I did, would I want to do that? Can I do that? And not only that, my radius was 8 miles. So where's that? That's hardly anywhere. And I think I've probably met all the men
All
around.
of them in the eight
Yes.
mile.
Yes. Like I think if I put it further than that, it would get me into New York City. And I don't think I want to keep going into New York City
Yeah,
back and
I
forth.
Sure.
understand.
Looking back, do you have any regrets from doing the show, or is it just all a learning lesson and
It was
experience?
largely a learning lesson, but I do, I hardly ever have any regrets, but I do regret not being myself. I really regret having that affect me so much that I just crawled into a shell and I kind of shut up and I kind of didn't say anything. And when, I didn't express my opinions and I froze. And so the only time you see me really being myself was on that first night when I had the cupcake thing with him. When we went on the date, when we were in the diner, it was like I thought this is really funny. So coming from New Jersey, the diner capital
Hmm.
of the
Oh
world,
yes.
I pulled up to the diner after we're driving so far, and on this with this car that has headlights that don't work. And I said, Gerry, are we almost there? Oh yeah, we're almost there. He had no idea. And then we pull up to a diner, and I go, in my head, a diner, like a diner. But then I see a jukebox, and I go, can we play a song? Because you can't play music when you're there. And he just ignores me. And then we sit down, but I was able to just forget that there were any cameras there. And I was really interested in like, let's talk about we're going to go to Italy and can we learn how to speak Italian? And like at that point, like I'm thinking we're by ourselves. And then all of a sudden the song comes on. So Gerry knew about the song. I didn't know about the song. I didn't know about anything. And then I just said, why don't we just get up and dance? And we're dancing and now everybody's dancing. And then we're going outside and going, I'm in the middle of this flash mob. This is so cool. That's great.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that was so fun. So, but it was after that. So that's when you see me by myself and at the being myself. And then at the very end. But there were so many things that you guys didn't see that I wish they had shown, like the getting up in the morning, drinking
Hmm.
coffee, sitting out near the pool, Susan going into the pool every morning, Leslie
Hmm.
doing her laps, um, Leslie teaching me exercises. There was this one time, and I was with Faith. We were by ourselves. Everybody else had gone on that, romance novel date. And
Hmm. Hmm.
playing, she starts making up a song about Gerry. Oh, Gerry, you gave me the first kiss, but then I saw you kissing other women. I said, no, no, no. I said, oh, Gerry, you gave me the first kiss, but then I saw you kissing Theresa Nist, that bitch. And so
Oh my
we're
God.
hysterical laughing. So there were things like that that were so fun. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would only like to be back on the show just to finally say I can be myself, just be myself. That's it.
Yeah.
Just
And
want to
I'm
We
be.
so
would love
glad
to
you
see that.
found that though too. Like I feel like after the final rose, did you feel like you were yourself after the show? Like when you did
Yeah,
interviews with Gary, I feel
yeah,
like your
yeah. Then I was
personality
myself.
Like you were so outgoing and energetic, and yeah, it was different
Yes.
from the Theresa we saw most of the season. So it was nice to see your personality come out.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I
Yeah.
had this one past podcast where somebody said, I didn't know Teresa was like that. And then my daughter goes and surprises me and says that she's pregnant again, now her fourth child. And
Congrats.
so I react the way I normally act, where I was like, oh my God. And somebody made a comment, that's not Teresa. She's being a phony. And I go, no, no, that is me. The other one wasn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's an edited version on a TV show, so obviously they're not showing every
Yeah.
part of your
And I
personality.
didn't give them much. So it was my fault. It was my fault.
Well, I think it's their fault too. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, hopefully we get to see you next summer on TV. We
Oh,
would love to watch it,
Fingers
whether it's
crossed.
a double
mhm.
golden bachelorette with Leslie or we see you on the beach. Like we want to see the rest of your story because now we're so
Aw,
invested.
thank you
So we
so much.
wish you nothing but the best and we'll definitely be following along and hopefully
Aw.
we'll see you in New York when you
Oh, I
come.
hope so.
Yeah.
You guys are so beautiful and so wonderful, and thank you so
Oh,
much. I really enjoyed
no,
talking
this
to you.
was so great. We loved
Yeah,
it.
Thank
same
Thank
you.
you.
here
All
and
Have
in person.
right,
Okay,
a good
we'll
rest of
be
bye-bye.
your
in touch.
day.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Bye.